Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I am here in beautiful Boulder Creek, California, where the flannel shirt is our state flag, the pit bull is our state bird, and cannabis is our state flower. I am joined this morning by my good friend Jason Carney. Jason, what's happening, man?
Hola, buenos dias, ¿cómo está? One and all.
Uh, it's a weird morning. I feel definite weirdness going on in the ether today. Um, the least of all, or part of it having to do with the fact that a real legit fucking clown is currently Prime Minister of England, like an actual tubby bloated muppet with borderline sentience is the Prime Minister of a what was once the world's most fearsome empirical power. And they got a Muppet named Boris.
I sent you a text this morning out of pure, unadulterated, just entertainment that Boris Johnson, in fact, will be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And he won it pretty freaking heavily, too. The Tories went
let's be honest,
right wing.
It was only his party that could vote in this, correct?
Right. I think there was 160,000 possible conservatives could vote, the Tories, and he won 92,153 votes to his rival. I believe I'm not even sure who the hell his rival was. 46,656 with like an 87% turnout, and it was one of those things where it was like, Jeremy Hunt, I'm sorry, was the opponent, and I was like, are you serious? This guy is absolute batshit crazy. He is a liar, and he is a proponent. His claim to fame is Brexit. So let's say everything works out and September 31st, Brexit happens, whether it be a hard exit or a soft exit or the greatest fucking deal ever struck between Britain and EU. No matter what happens, let's say it happens. What the hell is he going to be doing after that? What's his job? What is he going to champion? I mean, is he going to champion getting every Muslim out of the country? Is he going to champion anyone who's not Anglo-Saxon to be run out of the country? What do you do as an encore after you've committed one of the most heinous acts against your own people via Brexit? I want to see what the encore is.
Oh, well, I can tell you what the encore is. The encore is privatizing the National Health Service.
Oh, that's been a pursuit of the Tories for the last, fucking ever?
The problem with that is that it's all well and good for Boris Johnson to win an election within his own party. The media made Boris Johnson. He is as much as Pete Buttigieg is a Langley lab created Democrat.
Right.
Boris Johnson is the product of the BBC. He's a product of the reactionary right-wing elements within British media. And that's the only reason he has a fucking career, because as mayor, he was shit. Absolute shit. And incredibly unpopular even within his own party. It's a testament to how loathed Theresa May has become in her own country through her own ineptitude, through her fucking false sense of superiority, through failed policy after failed policy, that the Brits, the Tories particularly, would wind up choosing between someone like Jeremy fucking Hunt and Boris, I'm a fucking Muppet Johnson. Like it's somebody in the chat said he's like British. He's Trump with a different accent.
That's kind of what I want to touch on. I want to give you a different spin, if you'll allow. I'm doing a deep dive, and my next article is going to be on social identity theory and tribalism in the United States. And I think this kind of extends. I think that particular commenter, I'm waiting for my computer to give me the beautiful access to the comments section, but I think they're spot on. I think what it is, you saw the Republican Party in this country in 2015 going into 2016 support Jeb Bush, support anybody but Trump, the establishment Republicans. And as soon as it turned around that the Trump troglodytes were going to get behind him, then all of a sudden the Republican Party, at one point, said, we will never support this person. We don't support his ideas, his policies, his racism, his xenophobia, his misogyny, whatever. All of a sudden get in line behind Trump and protect Trump, regardless of whatever the hell crazy batshit lies he says. You have the Tories, who at one point looked at the United States with, just mockery, because if you remember, there was some Theresa May stories about Trump coming over the first time, where there could have been some issues. And you saw those Tories convert into Brexit nut jobs, because allegedly 49 point something percent of the population voted for Brexit. So we all needed to go jump on this proto-fascist bandwagon and become proto-fascist, as we will be bumped out of our MP position if we don't go along with this. I think it's tribalism, and I think it's social identity theory. I don't think it really has much to do with anything else. I think if the Republican Party, the Democrat Party of this country, or the Labour Party and the Conservative, aka Tories, in the UK or any other nation, switches up their stances and their ideology, then that's when we run into the situations that we have both in the United States and now Britain. Oh, you're mute. This isn't good.
No. Is it possible for you to turn yourself up on your end a little bit, Jay?
That's as high as I can get.
Okay, then cool. I turned you up a little bit too. Tim Flowbug in the chat said your mic is low. Hopefully I fixed that on this end, because I think that's about as good as we're fucking getting. It's interesting to me that because when you sent me a text, you're like, hey, Boris Johnson's prime minister now. And the thing I sent you back is he's a lame parliament president. And I don't know if there's a thing. Well, we have lame duck presidents, lame duck, elections, shit like that. Boris Johnson has the exact same parliament that Theresa May had, and they went nowhere with Brexit. There's putting a different prime minister in who's going to bring the same sort of proposals, except for a little bit louder and a little bit sloppier, to that parliament that wholesale fucking rejected whatever Brexit deal was thrown at them. I don't understand what Boris Johnson thinks he can accomplish with that parliament. There's going to have to be a snap election. George Galloway has been all over this because he's running for Tom Watson's seat. He's running to unseat Tom Watson. That's not the same hack Tom Watson that writes here. It's a different hack Tom Watson. This hack Tom Watson happens to be a member of parliament. If there's anyone out there named Tom Watson that's not a complete cunt, I'm sorry. I am. Like, that's just, I imagine how every Jeffrey Epstein feels. That's probably how Tom Watsons feel. And I feel bad for them. I do, because holy fuck, man, compared to the two Tom Watsons that I know, you're shit out of luck.
Well, here's what I see as the bigger problem too, is Corbyn and the Labour Party aren't taking advantage of this absolute chaos that is Brexit. They could jump all over this and demand a second referendum, cultivate public will for a second referendum. And I guarantee you, if a second referendum were to occur, Brexit would be a thing of the past. It would be a hiccup, a monumental hiccup, but something that would not exist. I guarantee you wouldn't even need to have any type of campaigning for either stay or leave. They can throw up as much as they want. All Labour and anybody who's pro-Remain would have to do is just point at the last year and a half and go, really? That's at the end of the day. Labour has to jump on things. I know they're the neoliberal Democrat Party of the UK. I get that. And I get they're as slow as the Democrat Party in the UK. But there comes a point where you can actually use this to your advantage. The sentiment in the UK has changed. They're seeing how this is going to play out. And they're seeing how this is going to hurt them, not help them. And people are crying for a second referendum.
No, I agree. I do. Realistically, we're 4.5 years into Brexit, into talking about it and trying to do it, and into the UK and the EU trying to going from various degrees of, okay, we're going to work on something, to fuck it, no, sorry, this is what you get, and if you don't like it, you can go fuck straight off, to where we are now, where they had a Theresa May is no longer prime minister. That in and of itself should speak to the failure of her stewardship throughout this process. But to replace a failing Theresa May with whatever the fuck Boris Johnson is, and expect a different result. Like, I get it, dude. Jeremy Hunt is a fucking loathsome, smarmy, transparent bastard. He had the unmitigated gall to talk about press freedom while knowing that, like, as soon as fucking he gets the opportunity to, he's going to smear every bit of Julian Assange's character. He had the temerity to speak about press freedom during their press freedom week while fucking activists and organizers who have been speaking out and providing positive information about Julian Assange have been taken out of the fucking social media sphere. The day he spoke about press freedom, Jeremy Hunt, was the day that Consortium News got hit with malware and had their whole website taken down.
Odd how that works.
It's fucking... there's a couple of people that complained about the audio on that Whitney Webb interview, and that I did. And all I have to say is dude, her fucking her Wi-Fi went out 5 minutes before we were supposed to go on, which has never happened to her before doing an interview. And the day that she goes to spill the beans about shit she hasn't wrote about Epstein yet, her Wi-Fi goes out. So she had to do that interview from her phone. And I swear to God, like, every time she moved her head, it would throw the volume off. And she is a very animated individual.
But we love her.
Very much so.
That article that's going to be coming out, and we love that she is going to be introducing into the public this notion of what actually going on. You have to look. Here's the thing: we're living through what the UK is doing right now. We're not going through a quote unquote Brexit, but we are becoming an isolationist nation. We're becoming a very hostile, xenophobic, and racist nation. We are doing the same thing. So any Americans that are seeing the chaos that is Brexit over there should also look right here and say, shit, it's not working out too well for them. What the hell are we doing? Because if you see what we're doing to Canada, if you see what we're doing to Mexico, if you're seeing what we're doing in South America and Central America, it's no different than Brexit. It's no different than the insanity of Brexit. We're putting, as the British are doing, we're putting a scapegoat in the form of immigration and immigrants up. We are pointing our fingers at the failure of income inequality and the failed healthcare system in this country and other things on the backs of people who have nothing to do with the situation, because they're easy to point at and say they're the problem. Brexit was doing the same thing. So as we're watching the chaos and the unmitigated disaster that is the conservative-led and Labour partially endorsed Brexit, and now, mind you, that isn't Jeremy Corbyn's crew. There are some people from Labour who voted for Brexit. We have to look at it and say, well, shit, maybe we're doing something wrong. Maybe we should try to do something a little bit differently. I wish this was more in the American conscious than it is right now. It gets reported on the mainstream news, but it's belligerent and very short on facts. I have to go to CBC or BBC to get more pertinent information on Brexit and get in depth. And it's one of those things where I think if Americans looked over what was happening over the pond, and we could, it's almost like looking at a mirror. We could see what it's doing to them is also happening to us in a different way.
We saw what imperialism did to them, and we said, great, I'll take two. You know, so I mean, I don't know if we're of the mind to be able to learn the lesson the right way on that one. I'll be pretty forthright in that the majority of what I know about this entire situation can be contained into like George Galloway shows and Jamarl Thomas's breakdowns of them. I'm not 100% versed in UK politics. What I do know, from what I have read, is that, and you brought this up about the Labour Party as well. There's the Labour, the Lib Dems that are like the hardcore. The Lib Dems are slightly to the left of
Yes.
U.S. Republicans, and then the Tories are also mostly slightly to the left of U.S. Republicans, with the exception of like Boris Johnson, Jeremy Hunt, a couple of those people who are fringe right. But they asked Margaret Thatcher before she passed away what her greatest accomplishment as prime minister was, and she gets this fucking look on her face, man, and she looks right into the camera all fucking smug, and she's like, Tony Blair and New Labour was my greatest accomplishment. And what that essentially means is what you're talking about, the co-opting of the Labour Party to make them a more right-wing element, to make them an element that would be supportive of the furthest right-wing Tories version of Brexit. The Labour Party that goes, man, maybe we do need to privatize that National Health Service. Maybe, maybe private insurance is where it's at. That's Margaret Thatcher's greatest fucking accomplishment, is taking the Labour Party and dragging them to the right. And now they have to paint Jeremy Corbyn as some sort of communist, or they have to paint him as an anti-Semite. And when you're talking about mirrored relationships between the US and the UK, the exact same thing that they've done and are doing to Bernie Sanders, they have done and are doing to Jeremy Corbyn, and it lands on, he's a communist, he's an anti-Semite, and that's it. That's all they have. And at some point, dude, that shit can't stick. And I don't know when that point is going to be, because we haven't fucking seen it yet.
I love that you bring that up. I love that you bring that up, and here's why I love that you bring that up. Before the show, you and I were talking, and I said Corbyn is, imagine an FDR Democrat in the UK. He's not a real socialist. Bernie Sanders, Tulsi, anybody who is run for the Green Party, as far as I can tell, none of them are actual Marxists. If you want actual Marxism, look into actual Marxism, and you'll see that there's stunning deficits in which Corbyn and his segment of the Labor, and Bernie Sanders and his segment of the Democrat Party and independents. This isn't to criticize either. This is just a simple fact. Neither are socialists. What the right wing likes to do and what centrists like to do is paint everybody with socialism like this is the 1950s, and that's an automatic bad word. So it gets you off to the fringes and nobody has to listen to you, and you're kooky, and it's cute when you try to do something and you just stay in your place, know your role, and shut your mouth. Shout out to The Rock. And at the end of the day, we as Americans, and as apparently those in the UK, don't have a fundamental understanding of ideology. I keep reinforcing this, not to show the ignorance of the American and now British people, but if you were to understand basic ideology, you'd be able to decimate any of these politicians. It doesn't matter if they're from whatever party, whatever side, what have you. You'd be able to call them out for their bullshit. When a Republican says Bernie Sanders, Medicare for all is a socialist idea, but Bernie doesn't go far enough. So why are you calling Bernie a socialist? He's an FDR Democrat. Nixon had the same idea. So is he a socialist today? I mean, it's one of those things where the lack of understanding of political ideology it helps to fuel this ignorance that is our political election system. And now I'm seeing within the parliamentary system in the UK fueling their ignorance.
Well, let's also be clear that it's an ignorance that comes about through a concerted effort to propagandize your citizenry and separate, I guess, reality from the rewritten version of reality. You don't wind up in a situation where something like Boris Johnson is allowed into that political sphere, or something like Donald Trump is allowed into that political sphere without creating a set of conditions that make it possible. It's not a fluke. Politics is a very, very meticulously planned thing, regardless of how sloppy it ends up being acted out. Like this is all think tank fucking programmed, and this is all people with honors from Oxford or fucking Ivy League schools that are putting out these narratives to 100% dupe these people. And sometimes you get a true believer, or sometimes you get a great grifter who understands that there are true believers and knows how to play them. And that's what we have in Trump. And but I honestly don't think Boris Johnson is smart enough or creative enough to do that on his own.
Boris Johnson, there was a great movie, and it covered the entirety of Brexit. And I'm so pissed off that I don't have the name to it. I don't remember if it was an HBO or an IFC setup, but it gave the actual credit to the individual with whom Brexit happened. And the names escape me right now. And as soon as I figure out what the name of the movie is, I will definitely put that up, because I want people to watch these things. It touches on just how outside the loop Boris Johnson was. He was just literally a spokesperson. He didn't articulate, formulate, create ideas, create a battle plan on how to execute things. He had nothing to do with Cambridge Analytica. He was literally a face that people knew as the former mayor of London. So this guy is somebody we need to use so that he could talk to the public. So when you call him an imbecile, when you call him stupid, when you call him everything else, he is. He is literally like an actor who is handed over a script, memorize your lines, recite them, good boy, go off to the office now. And that's exactly how he played it out in Brexit. They gave him way too much credit for being a Brexiteer, and it's sad at the end of the day, because people are giving this guy a modicum of intellect for something he had nothing to do with, essentially, other than being a face.
The way, I mean, and maybe somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong here too, but the way that I understand it is that Boris Johnson is essentially like the puppet that Nigel Farage shoves his hand up the ass of and makes his mouth move, and that as loathsome a character as Nigel Farage is, Boris Johnson is seen to be either more controllable or less overtly horrific.
Nigel Farage is like the classic face of Britain imperialism. If you could go back and you had an idea of
you can tell by the large ears and the cheekbones.
What's that?
You can tell by the large ears and the cheekbones.
I was going to leave facial structure out of it, but you're 100% correct. The attitude, the pomposity, the air of intellect. It's almost like William F. Buckley with the Boston Brahmin thing. You listen to Nigel Farage, and you're supposed to be harking back to that 19th century idea and concept of imperialism being a good thing. It's make Britain great again. You know, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. And what MAGA and IMBGA would be is essentially a call to proto-fascism. It's the idea that we can go back. And what I would question the citizens of Britain, Canada, Australia, and any of the other commonwealths that Britain had once possessed and is still within their sphere of influence, and the American people, at what point were either country or either empire ever really great? There was racism, there was anti-Semitism, there was rampant misogyny. There is a horrendous history in which the people have been persecuted, oppressed, suffered, etc., etc., etc. So why are we electing people, aka Republicans and some Democrats and Donald Trump, and over there Tories, some members of the Labor Party and Boris Johnson, to bring these once great nations back to their original prominence and make it like it was back then? We can't go back, nor should we ever want to go back. And this idea of going back is something we need to shout down on every platform available.
So the thing about that is, though, everyone knows that's a dog whistle for a segregated, closeted society. Even the people who support it know it's a dog whistle for a segregated, closeted society. In fact, that's what makes it attractive to them in the first place. So this
fascism with a tie.
Yeah, this notion, well, and again, all the Democrats want is intersectional fascism. They don't,
Not to be confused with intersectional feminism, completely separate thing and needs to be focused on and held up as a good thing. I want people to understand that. Intersectional feminism, good thing. Intersectional fascism, very bad.
Well, yeah, but when I coined the term intersectional fascism,
and I love it.
That's what I was playing off of in the first place. But the mythology behind this sells because we're a sucker for a historical fiction biopic or a historical fiction television series or fucking comic book movies. That's all we have now in Hollywood are these made up biographies, these made up fairy tales of people that actually existed and the great things that they didn't do. And fucking comic book movies. So we're appealing to a history that doesn't exist, to people that were taught to forget what really happened by a media that's controlled by intelligence agencies. So there's going to be some mixed messaging in there on purpose. That's what we're here for. We're here to fucking sift through all that shit and let you know what's really going on. Yeah, we live in a fucking cartoon, I guess is where I was at with that.
No, you're spot on. And if I could stand and applaud and it not seem like an empty gesture, I would, because I 100% endorse what you just said. For me, I read something on it, of all places, the Daily Kos, and it was really interesting that this person's perspective I would agree with. This man had written in about his grandfather being pissed off with the new fascism, the new fascism that's rising in this country. And essentially the grandfather had said, and forgive me, I'm paraphrasing, you pussies had to wait until the greatest generation died out to pull your bullshit again. And I see that, and I have to think to myself, that makes sense. The people who lived through the horrors when they discovered the camps, the people who walked through Germany and through Poland and through all these other nations that were destroyed by fascism, Nazism, and saw the horrors with their own eyes, not through Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg's lenses, with their own eyes, who could, regardless of their political ideology, regardless of their thought process of when it comes to politics, can go, you know what, guys, fascism isn't all that it's cracked up to be. And I'm haunted by this idea that fascism's rise is definitely meeting along par with the greatest generation's decline when they are dying. Now, when I say the greatest generation, we could debate that on a totally different episode. I don't care. But I'm just trying to give people an idea of the time frame I'm talking. So I believe that it's up to Antifa, up to people who are anti-fascist, that it's up to people like ourselves to call this shit out and keep some idea of that memory alive so that we can call out the Richard Spencers of the world, the Donald Trumps, the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, and others who would seek to oppress people and to keep capitalism as is, and then the military-industrial complex and so on and so forth, all the horrors of fascism, would like to usher that in. It's our jobs to be that counter. Now that the greatest generation can't do it, it's up to us to pick up that baton and keep running with it.
So, I mean, you know me, dude. I'm over here on all wars are bankers' wars, and I don't even know for a fact if that was indeed the Archduke of Ferdinand that got assassinated. Like, I don't know, dude. It's fucking, it's weird. There was a lot of different stuff that was going on. That a world war was a perfect fucking a perfect system for it. And look at what we did right before that, man. We established the Federal Reserve, and then within 60 years went off of the gold standard, and fucking like all this crazy shit happened while that was going on. I in the chat, Anthony Reyes. Anthony, welcome to the show, man. I've seen you around in other chats before. You always bring some intelligent shit. I am glad you are here. No one should wear masks. That's my gripe with Antifa. Anthony, if you'd been watching at any point prior to now, you would have heard me say, if you can prove to me that there isn't 1 to 1.5 FBI agents per every pink-haired, black skinny jeans, 103-pound warrior, I will go to your house and I will buy you, or I will build you a fucking edition. That's the masked community part of it. That's black bloc people. If they're not off-duty or on-duty officers, man, I swear to Christ, dude, I will come and build you an edition onto your house.
I want to chime in real quick. I'm a heavy supporter for Antifa. I have a public platform in which I do come out and advocate for Antifa, and I have not once worn a mask. I parrot the lines from.
Although we keep trying to ask him to, he is not down for that. Apparently, Jason is proud of his face and wants to show it to all of us.
No, nothing to do with ego. But the thing is Antifa is so much more than the black bloc. And I wish people understood that. They take on so much more very peacefully, very quietly, and on the local level. It doesn't require a mask. Sometimes when you're out in public and you're going against another large group in which the police are on their side, sometimes you wear a mask. And I don't hold that against anybody. I'm just throwing it out there.
And I do agree that in the age of facial recognition everywhere, even though the city of Oakland just banned facial recognition and that's what Oakland did is something unique. Oakland banned their police department from purchasing facial recognition. And that's kind of a newer step. That's the next step in banning facial recognition technology in your area. Real quick, I want to point out something. I want to draw attention to something in the chat because this goes straight into what we talk about when we talk about decentralized activism. Someone reached out
in the chat because YouTube gave me the boot, so you're gonna have to walk me through this one, Steve.
Okay. Andrew Smith, Action for Assange, said someone reached out to me and said I should start doing town halls. It's been intimidating, but really important thing that I'm gonna start doing. What I would suggest to you, Andrew, and what I would suggest to people in the chat and shit, and people who are supportive of Julian Assange, and I want to get to this because we don't have a whole lot of time. Find a pub, Andrew, or find a small fucking venue where you can do a public streaming, do a public Action for Assange vigil. See if you can't do that. I'll do the same. I'll see if I can't find a room where I can fit 20 or 30 people in and live stream a public Action for Assange vigil. Yeah, Antifa did save Cornell West. He was fucked in Charlottesville. And Cornell West is on record saying that. Before we get into the anniversary that I couldn't cover yesterday because my entire fucking schedule got compounded with other shit, and this is the last 9 a.m. show that I'm going to be able to do until like Saturday or Sunday. And I don't know if I can do an early show on Sunday. Like I'm busy, man. I'm busy.
Believe me. Can I throw something out real quick?
Yeah, please do. Cause I just fucking lost my train of thought.
To Anthony, thank you so much for your thoughts too. That wasn't an attack on you when I said that. I do want to clarify a lot of Antifa's position, and I would really implore everyone to check out Mark Bray's Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook. If you truly want to understand what Antifa is about, and not just what the MSM is pointing out and saying, oh, these guys are terrorists, they're attacking people, they're blah, blah, blah. Get Mark Bray's Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, and you'll start to understand that Antifa is far more than one segment of what the MSM is putting out. as the only component of Antifa. I can't suggest it more. It will help clarify some things, and it will also start helping you see through the bullshit that is the MSM's take on Antifa. Anti-fascism is a very difficult subject to talk about because fascism in and of itself isn't a defined, there's 14 characteristics. I get that, but it's hard to define what is fascism. You know, it's like good porn. You know when you see it. It's right there. So my suggestion, please go out there, Mark Bray's Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook. Please, 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 please. No, he's not a sponsor. No, I don't know this person, but I've read it. I enjoy it. Go get it.
Oh shit. At any rate, I remember what I was going to say real quick. To your point about pornography, the United States Supreme Court defined pornography as
that's the only thing you fucking stuck with was porn. Okay, cool.
No.
Got it.
Real quick, the U.S. Supreme Court defined pornography as anything that has no artistic merit that causes sexual thought.
Yes.
And Bill Hicks heard that and said, "Well, that's every fucking television commercial."
Mm-hmm.
And
every sitcom. Let's be real.
When I see a mostly naked chick eating a Carl's Jr. hamburger, I admit I'm not thinking about hamburgers. I'm not. I did remember what I was going to say. I do want to cover the fact that there was an anniversary yesterday. We've got about 20, 25 minutes, something like that. Nico House already has a video up of this, but real quick, congratulations to Jimmy Dore for being Iran's #1 choice of airport entertainment. Big ups there, buddy. I think it's fucking hilarious that, and I also, by the way, if you have the ability to do this, if you work in an airport or if you know how to hack into an airport's television system, wherever you are, put independent media up. But it doesn't have to be Jimmy's show. It doesn't have to be this show. It could be fucking but put, yeah.
Nico House, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of us. It would be great if you put us up as well, but there's a lot of us. Let's make that happen.
So fucking huge ups to Jimmy Dore, to Ron Placone for being a writer and contributor on that show, to Grant Melwood and Steph, and the whole damn family. You're big in Iran. Yeah, man, that's some shit.
What was that Tom Waits album?
Big in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I say it that way, dude. If you ever have any Tom Waits related questions, you can ask me. All right, I basically fucking tracked the man down not once but twice. So we got this. I went and fucking stalked his recording room in Los Angeles because I fucking found out where it was, and I was like, I gotta see this place. Fucking, and I did. I waited in Petaluma, California for like 3 days, dude, for him to show up to this truck stop diner right outside of it, and he finally did. And I went and I fucking sat down. I had like a 4-hour lunch with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is he as cool as he comes off?
He is weirder and cooler than he comes off. He is also a giant. I don't know if you know this about him, but he's like 6'4".
Yeah, I thought he was like 6'2" to 6'3". I didn't think El Gigante status.
He's a very tall man. I am not a towering giant, so anyone over 6 foot is fucking tall to me.
Well, like a giant to you then.
That's why
I'm only 6'1", bro.
I love hanging out with Ron Placone because Ron is shorter than me, and it's like one of the few times that God, I hope Ron doesn't see this.
Hey, let me ask you a quick question. Are we settled on our little August endeavor? And when do you want to start letting people know about our August endeavor?
We can go ahead and do that now. The second weekend of August, and I don't even know which day it is, to be honest. Could be both. I don't give a fuck. The second weekend of August, Slow News Day is going to be hosting a roundtable event will take place live at the studio. In studio will be me, Jason, um, Pat Cody, aka Pat the Burner, aka Nate's Liver, aka the Dreamy-Eyed Enigma, and one Mr. John Graziano. And beaming in will be Jules, and at least
from another blister,
and at least one or two other females, so it won't just be like incredibly handsome white guys and Jason sitting around talking about politics.
You know what? That officially makes you a dick. But I totally agree with you on. I think we have, and I want to be honest with this. This isn't just hype. This isn't just blowing it up to be larger than what it is. I think there's a lot of great voices. Jules, I've known for years, and I trust her implicitly. I think she comes out ahead of the curve when it comes to different topics and trying to get people's eyes on different subjects. And I'm incredibly happy that she's going to be associated with this. The names that you put is like an all-star list of progressives and leftists. They're not just progressives, ladies and gentlemen. There's some real leftists there, and it's going to be a fantastic event. Are we doing it live or are we doing it?
We're gonna do it live.
I think it's a great experience if you can come out and watch.
I'm half-assed thinking about making it public. It was gonna start at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So in order for us to have the studio space, that's when we need to be rolling is like 10. But we're gonna shoot out. So the Swamp House, which used to be a whorehouse, the same footprint got converted into a post office in the early 1900s. That structure, that shape of the building still stands. It's now like a full recording studio. The area where I shoot the podcast, which is, a couple couches, TV, shit like that, kick it area. There's a full kitchen. There's a complete wood shop. And then out back is a screened-in area that's also got some couches and a coffee table. There's a monitor up there. So we're gonna shoot out there because we can smoke and we can fucking smoke weed and whatever. It's and it should be a lot of fun. It should, like, if you haven't seen the interviews that I've done with Pat, go watch that because he really, like, that dude's fucking funny.
And John's a beast. John's a beast.
Yeah, and John is a fucking force of nature. So that's going to be good times. It is. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. If I don't open this one to the public, I will open the next one to the public. I don't see why we wouldn't have some sort of, like, at least 3 or 4 times a year a roundtable content creator event there. It's such a fucking great setting, and you're in the goddamn redwoods, and, like, yeah, it's a good spot.
And we would love for as many people to come out as possible. It's a huge show of support that we would appreciate, but B, we want your voices as well. We want interaction. We want people to be able to come out and say, oh, this or that, and we could speak on it. We could have a conversation. I mean, it's one of those things. We're going to cover a wide array of topics. I'm super excited about this. I'm super excited with the names that are attached to this. And the best part is it's not brought to you by anybody. So this is going to be a group of brilliant people getting together and having a conversation. And it's going to be entertaining. You're going to laugh. You're going to get angry. You're going to clap. You're going to boo. You're going to do all the other sorts of things that an audience is going to do. But you're going to walk away a little bit more informed. And you may walk away going, hey, I got to follow that person. All right, I got to watch that person's stuff. It's one of those things at the end of the day where this is just an exciting prospect. I'm stoked.
Sweet. Oh, and one more thing about that too, since we're going to be doing it at the studio, we'll be able to then take that entire show, which I imagine will go for at least 2, if not 3 fucking hours. Oh, yeah. And we'll be able to bust that down into individual clips and put those up on the channel here. So that if you don't make it for the live stream, then you'll be able to catch up on what went down without having to invest 3 hours of your life into it.
Let me throw in one more thing. If you watch wrestling, pretend that this is SummerSlam. We haven't even begun to plan out WrestleMania just yet. This is something that Steve and I talked about. We definitely want to do these, and I think this would be, as Steve had done this previously, and it went really well. So I mean, I'm check it out. Come out if you can. Super stoked. There you go. Summation.
So, yesterday was July 22nd.
Yes, it was.
Uh,
In fact, you are correct in that.
on July 22nd, in the year of our Lord, 2016, a patri, I can't remember.
Patri, yeah.
Spectacles, testicles, watch and wallet. That's yeah.
Fuck me.
It's true. Yesterday was July 22nd. July 22nd, 2016, a bombshell hit the political sphere a few days ahead of the Democratic National Convention. And that was the DNC emails were released on WikiLeaks. We're 3 years removed from that. And I'm going to tell a personal anecdote here because it fits. But I was at work last night. There's an old dude who comes in. His name's Dennis. He at one point was a teacher. He went to Berkeley in the 50s. He's fucking whacked out old educated hippie, right? He usually drops on this day, this really cool thing happened to me in line. He gets in line and he's like, I don't have an anniversary for you or a historical date for you. And I said, I do. It's WikiLeaks. The DNC emails dropped 3 years ago today. There's a Karen in line at the other register. And this particular Karen is wearing a brand new tie-dye shirt. She has asked to speak to the manager on several occasions. When her particular flavor of alcohol was not in. And this particular Karen, I shit you not, is named Karen. That makes it even fucking better. The first time that I ran her credit card and I looked at it, I went, of course you are. And she was like, excuse me? I'm sorry, man. I'm thinking about some other shit. So I bring this up. I bring up the anniversary of WikiLeaks to Dennis here, and Karen, under her breath, goes, "'Cause you can trust WikiLeaks." Pardon? Because you can trust WikiLeaks. They've never had to retract anything they've ever written, ever.
Not once.
Not once. In fact, in 2018, the New York Times had to make over 4,000 retractions. 3 people from CNN lost their jobs. Can you make the statement that any of these news organizations are trustworthy? Oh, let me guess. You think he's responsible for Mother not getting the throne?
That's it.
Yeah, and stomps off. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Karen. Fuck. Karen. Oh, they're. And it's emblematic of me to where we are 3 years after the release of the DNC emails that your average fucking Karen only knows what she's been told inside of her bubble about this situation. So Andrew, when you say that you want to start doing fucking town halls, yeah, man, you do. There's got to be some form of education that takes place at the community level that is outside of the scope of just what we're doing right now, that is different from flyering or postering. And that might be a great way to do it. And I really think that if you can get even a dozen people together in a room while you do the vigil, that's a good enough idea, because if you can make that experience good for them, they're going to take that and they're going to tell people about it.
And that's key. That's key. Which reminds me, I want to get a hold of you today, Andrew. As soon as this show's done, I'm texting you. I apologize. It's been a chaotic week. But no, I think I fully support that. And we've talked about this numerous times on the show. We've talked about this independently. It's people have to stand up, and people like Andrew are standing up. And it's not just there's a lot of people who are now going, my representative isn't going to do anything. No matter who I vote for president, it's not going to change anything. None of this matters. What best solution can I come up with short of torches and pitchforks? And this methodology of these town halls, as he's being proposing doing, and other various actions done by individuals at the local level, once again, are going to be the only way we counteract the bullshit that has been spewed forth for the last 200 plus years. And I commend each and every individual who's standing up and saying enough is enough.
I do as well. I think that's about good for us for the morning. Honestly,
Yeah.
we've got people dropping off. We've got other people on the interwebs about to come on. Want to thank everyone for hanging out with us this morning. Again, my mornings are going to be fucking gnarly for the rest of this week. So if I can get a show in at night, I will. Other than that, we'll be back for sure Sunday evening.
Yes.
For our regular, now coming to be regular, big ass Sunday show.
Yeah, I know, right?
And yeah, this has been Slow News. What do you got, Jay?
If you need a fix until Sunday when we got something concrete, go over to People of the 99%. Live casts will be happening again. I haven't settled on a time because of my work schedule, but think about probably 10:30 so we can break up after the show and go from there. So if you need a fix, come on, join in the conversation, argue, laugh, cry, whatever you want to do. It's over on People of the 99% on Facebook.
And what's your Twitter handle, Jay?
At Param Quern. Look that up in Latin and you'll be amazed at what it is. PAREMQUERN.
All right. And yeah, this has been Slow News Day. I am Steve Poikinen. Good luck to us all.